Do you really want to be strong? Truly strong? Then get ready to lose a lot. Because the moment your mind becomes unshakable, you start making people uncomfortable. They'll stop inviting you because you're no longer fun. They'll call you arrogant because you no longer seek their approval. They'll say you've changed, and they'll be right. Because when you start thinking for yourself, with discipline, focus, and cold precision, you become uncontrollable. And the world hates what it can't control. You won't have many friends if you stay on this path. You'll hear that you're getting bitter, that you're isolating yourself, that nobody lives like this. But what they don't understand is that in that exact isolation, true power is born. This video isn't about being accepted. It's about becoming so mentally strong, the presence of others no longer defines you or distracts you. Stay until the end, because today you'll understand why losing people is often the first sign of real evolution, and why solitude might be the best thing that ever happened to you. At first, you don't notice it. The transition is slow, almost invisible. One day, you just decide not to go out drinking. The next, you turn down a meaningless conversation. And suddenly, you're saying no more often. Before you know it, people stop calling. The truth is simple, but no one wants to say it. They don't know how to handle someone who isn't trying to please. You started changing. You don't smile out of obligation anymore. You don't engage in stupid arguments. You stop surrendering just to keep the peace. And that's when the conflict begins. Not a loud, obvious conflict, a silent, invisible, corrosive one. People start looking at you differently. They whisper when you leave the room. They stop including you. Because now you think. And thinking these days is an act of rebellion. Society is built to keep you soft, pleasant, bendable, and a disciplined mind breaks that design. When you choose to go to bed early, train every day, reject distractions, and stay focused, you send a message. I'm not like you. And that's unbearable to those who live on social validation. Deep down, they don't want you to evolve. Because if you change, they'll have to confront how stagnant they've become. Your transformation shines a brutal light on their laziness, indecision, and cowardice. And most people would rather lose you than lose the comfortable illusion that their life is just fine. But something hurts even more than being excluded, realizing that your presence was only valued while you were weak. A weak mind is company, a strong mind is a threat. And the more you evolve, the clearer it becomes. The real war isn't against others. It's against your attachment to their approval. When the noise finally stops, you begin to hear your real voice. At first, the silence feels like punishment. Fewer texts, fewer invites, fewer eyes on you. You feel discarded, like you've done something wrong. But you haven't. You simply woke up. And when the mind wakes up, the chains that held you start snapping, one by one. This phase is brutal because it demands that you endure absence without anesthesia. No distractions, no audience. Just you, your discipline, and the echo of thoughts you used to drown out with noise. But this is where the transformation begins. The mind finally has space to rebuild, free from influence, expectations, and social noise. Gradually, you realize the void doesn't weaken you. It strengthens you. Without the pressure to please, your actions gain purpose. Every decision stops reflecting others' expectations and becomes an affirmation of your identity. In that lonely terrain, you begin to construct the most authentic version of yourself, a mind that needs no validation because it stands on its own. What once looked like isolation reveals itself as selection. You're not alone because you have no options. You're alone because you refuse to settle for the shallow. And that changes everything. Your presence becomes heavier, your words rarer, your thoughts sharper. You stopped chasing company. You started seeking truth. And truth almost always demands you walk alone. They'll try to pull you back, but not for your sake. It's a desperate attempt to drag you back into the world where everyone is average and no one threatens the balance of mediocrity. You'll hear jokes. They'll say you've become a robot, that you're too extreme. But behind every comment is the same plea. Come back to being like us. You start making people uncomfortable not because you shout, but because you're silent. Not because you impose, but because you don't bend. When you no longer react the way they expect. When you stay composed. When you no longer ask for permission. The masks fall. People who once supported you disappear. Friends who laughed with you now avoid you. Because your self-control forces them to see how out of control they are. It hurts. You wonder if it's worth it. Because the rupture doesn't tear your skin, it tears your soul. Watching people you respected drift away. Watching those you trusted turn their backs. But here's the detail that changes everything. You're not losing anything. You're just finally seeing clearly who was never really with you. The rupture is the filter, and once it's done, what remains is pure. What survives your growth deserves to stay. What doesn't was never real. You're not becoming bitter, you're becoming selective. You're learning that presence doesn't mean loyalty, and noise doesn't mean depth. And that's when something shifts inside you. For the first time, you don't feel loss. You feel light. The pain of separation gives way to the peace of liberation. And now finally you understand, your mind isn't alone. It's free. The reward doesn't come with applause. It doesn't come with recognition. No one claps for you when you win this way. The real reward of a strong mind is silence that no longer scares you. It's waking up and realizing you don't need anyone to stay firm. That your steps are guided by conviction, not by emotional hunger. You start to see that the respect you used to chase in others now rises from within. Not because you're perfect, but because you know you're solid. You don't betray your principles. You don't sell yourself short to fit into someone else's pocket. And that is priceless. Over time, people start to notice, but they don't approach like before. They observe from a distance. They respect. Some even fear you, because your presence says more than any motivational speech. It screams, "I don't need you." And that silent scream terrifies those still chained to validation. Then, something strange happens. You start attracting different people. Rare ones. People who aren't offended by your intensity, who understand your silence, who've also walked through the fire. They're few, very few. But when you find them, you know, this is real. This is strength. You no longer want crowds. You want clarity. You don't want applause. You want respect. You don't want easy friendship. You want real connection, built on the rock of authenticity. And the best part? You don't need it to continue. You want it, but you don't depend on it. And that's the highest form of freedom a human can reach. Now it's your turn. Do you still want to please everyone? Want to be the person who always says yes? Who laughs at jokes you secretly hate? Who adapts just to avoid being left out? Congratulations! You'll be liked, you'll be pleasant, you'll be popular. But you'll never be free. You'll live like a ghost, present in body, absent in soul. Or you can take the brutal path, the path of refusal, of discipline, of walking alone at night and emerging with a mind that no one can bend. But understand this, it will cost you. It will strip away everything that's superficial. It will force you to confront the discomfort of being misunderstood, ignored, rejected. The question is simple. Do you have the courage to be hated? Because that's what happens when you refuse to be weak. When you stop molding yourself. When you choose truth, even when it hurts. Most will call you cold, insensitive, arrogant, but deep down, they'll envy you. Because you are what they never had the guts to become. And here's the final warning. This path has no return. Once you wake up, you can't go back to sleeping comfortably in the bed of ignorance. Once you become strong, any trace of weakness disgusts you. You'll demand more of yourself. You'll see the world with ruthless clarity. And that will separate you. Not by choice, but by consequence. So decide now. Will you keep hiding behind the need to be liked? Or will you start building the only thing that truly matters? A mind that scares them.